We are reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 1, Chapter 6 today, and the verse for today is text 1. Chapter 6 is called Conversations between Narada and Vyasadeva. Prabhuji, would you like us to read the text and the translation and purport before we hand over to you?
Hare Krishna.
Okay, Prabhuji. Shashwat, are you able to read the text? Starting with Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Hare Krishna. Sutta Uvacha Evam Nisamya Bhagavan Devasya Janma Karma Cha Bhuya Vaprachatam Brahma Vyasa Sattva Yavati Sutta. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Shashwin. Kumar Prabhuji, kindly do the word to word. And Prahlad Prabhu, if you have the Srimad Bhagavatam, you can do the translation and purport today.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Vacha
Sutta Vacha,
Sase
Sutta said,
Evam
Evam,
Das
thus,
Nisamya
Nisamya,
hearing
hearing,
Bhagavan
Bhagavan,
the powerful incarnation
the powerful incarnation of God,
Devasya
Devarshe,
of the great sage among the gods.
of the great sage among the gods,
Janma
Janma,
that
birth,
Karma
Karma,
work
work,
the
Cha,
and
and
Bhuya
Bhuya,
again
again, Prapacha, asked,
Tam
Tam,
Him
him,
Brahma
Brahman,
O
O Brahmanas,
Vyasa
Vyasasha,
Vyasa
Vyasadeva,
Satyavati
Satyavati Sutta, the son of Satyavati. Hare Krishna, thank you very much. Prahlad Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prahlad Prabhu, are you?
Sorry. Yes, sorry. Translation, Sutta said, O Brahmanas, thus hearing all about Sri Narada's birth and activities, Vyasadeva, the incarnation of God and son of Satyavati, inquired as follows. Hare Krishna, purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Yeah.
Vyasadeva was further inquisitive to know about the perfection of Naradji, and therefore he wanted to know about him more and more. In this chapter, Naradji will describe how he was able to have a brief audience with the Lord while he was absorbed in the transcendental thought of separation from the Lord, and when it was very painful for him. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, we hand over to you now.
Hare Krishna. Oh, glorious to all the assembled devotees. Looking over the verses, I see that they have very short purports. So I would like, if you agreed, just continue reading just the Sanskrit of the verse and then repeat the verse in the purport up through number 4. Just keep going.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Prahlad Prabhu, can you do text 2, the Sanskrit translation and purport?
2, 3, and 4.
Yes, no problem.
And before you start, text 3, can I have a volunteer, Panchali Mataji? Can you read the text 3 after Prahlad Prabhu reads? Are you able
Yes.
to do that?
Yes, Mataji.
And Sandhya Mataji, are you able to do text 4?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so we won't stop in the middle. After Prahlad Prabhu reads, then you continue. Panchali Mataji and Sandhya Mataji. Okay, Prahlad Prabhu, let's start.
Vyasa uvacha Bhikshuvir vipravasite Vijnanante Tribhistava Vartamano Vasyai Adye Tataha Kim Akarod Bhavan. Translation. Sri Vyasadeva said, "What did you, Narada, do after the departure of the great sages who had instructed you in scientific transcendental knowledge before the beginning of your present birth?" Purport. Vyasadeva himself was the disciple of Naraji. Therefore, it was natural to be anxious to hear what Narada did after initiation from the spiritual masters. He wanted to follow in Narada's footsteps in order to attain to the same perfect stage of life. This desire to inquire from the spiritual master is an essential factor to the progressive path. This process is technically known as Sadharma Richa. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So text 3. Swayambhuva Kritya Vasti Samse Karam Kaya Katam Chedam Udashrati Kale Tapte Kale Varam. Translation. O son of Brahma, how did you pass your life after initiation, and how did you attain this body, having quit your old one in due course? Purpose. Sri Naradmuni in his previous life was just an ordinary maidservant's son. So how he became so perfectly transformed into the spiritual body of eternal bliss, spiritual body of eternal life, bliss, and knowledge is certainly important. Sri Vyasadeva desired him to disclose the fact for everyone's satisfaction. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Chapter 1, Canto 1, Chapter 6, Text 4. Prakalpa Vishayametam Samritim Te Munistama Nahyosha Vyavdhat Kala Esha Sarva Nirakriti. O great sage, time annihilates everything in due course. So how is it that this subject matter, which happened prior to this day of Brahma, is still fresh in your memory, undisturbed by time? Purport. As spirit is not annihilated even after the annihilation of the material body, so also spiritual consciousness is not annihilated. Sri Narada developed the spiritual consciousness even when he had this material body in the previous kalpa. Consciousness of the material body means spiritual consciousness expressed through the medium of a material body. This consciousness is inferior, destructible, and perverted, but superconsciousness of the supramind in the spiritual plane is as good as the spiritual soul and is never annihilated. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, we hand over to you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. So this chapter continues discussion between Srila Vyasadeva and Narada Muni. Srila Vyasadeva is the disciple of Narada Muni. We have our disciplic succession that begins with Lord Krishna, who spoke this same Srimad Bhagavatam to Lord Brahma, and Lord Brahma instructed his son, Narad, and now Narad is instructing Srimad Bhagavatam to Srila Vyasadeva. One translation of Srimad Bhagavatam is the beautiful story of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And there are the four verses that Lord Brahma spoke to Narada Muni are in the second canto, and Narada Muni expanded them into this, what we have. So Srimad Bhagavatam is eternal. It's not a book which is produced at a certain time by a writer, and then that's it. But Srimad Bhagavatam is an incarnation. It is the literary incarnation of Krishna, as we heard about in the third chapter of this Srimad Bhagavatam, the literary incarnation of God. And just as Lord Krishna incarnates from time to time, so this Srimad Bhagavatam manifests as a spiritual literature again and again. In the Bhagavad Gita, we remember Lord Krishna says that in order to deliver the pious and annihilate the miscreants, I descend again and again. So Srila Prabhupada explains this means either Lord Krishna himself or one of his incarnations, or the pure devotees of Krishna, the holy name, Kali Kaliranam, Krishna, Rupa Avatar, the divine names of Lord Krishna are an incarnation. And the Srimad Bhagavatam is also an incarnation of Lord Krishna. The Srimad Bhagavatam, although it looks perhaps to our eyes like a book, it is as spiritual as the deity in the temple. Therefore, we want to keep Srimad Bhagavatam in our home very clean, and we want to have great respect for Srimad Bhagavatam when we handle the book, or as we read and hear with great respect. It is the sound deity of Lord Krishna. Very often in this world, when someone is successful, suppose someone does very good growing vegetable, so someone will ask, well, how did you do that? I see the plants and the trees are growing so good. What did you do? On the other hand, it also happens when someone is envious or jealous of someone else's success. Sometimes they can hardly talk to the person. It's said that the jealousy bites their tongue. We see that sometimes, even among people who are supposed to be friends. Someone becomes very successful in some way, and then acquaintances, jealousy gets the better of them. And we do not even say hello to the person because we actually are resentful. We resent that they have what we don't have. So envy and jealousy, it actually hurts us. When we are so jealous or resentful that we cannot inquire from someone who has something that we don't have, we can't even ask how we can do it ourselves. People often make fun or they criticize other people out of jealousy. They resent what this person has. So that is like a curse. In the last text of the previous chapter, Srila Prabhupada described the different classes of men who are not Krishna conscious, which is from Bhagavad Gita. And one of them are those who are atheistic and they cannot stand the idea of God or the idea of religion. And very often that is due to severe envy. They hate the fact that God is who he is and has what he has. Obviously, this won't help. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is glorified that he is the doctor who has brought the medicine to purify our mind. Harinama Sankirtana. That by this Sankirtan, by this glorification of Krishna, the very thing that sometimes parts of our mind don't want to do is the very thing that will cure our resentment and envy of Krishna. So Narada Muni is a wonderful example, and there are many examples in Srimad Bhagavatam of devotees who followed the process of bhakti, of hearing about Krishna, of chanting Krishna's names, chanting divine mantras. They became purified and enlightened and fully Krishna conscious. So Srila Vyasadeva, he is asking, not just for his own curiosity, but for the benefit of others, he's asking Narada Muni, how did this happen? You explained that you associated with these Bhakti Vedantas, with these pure lovers of Krishna. So what did you do after these sages left? And that's where this chapter 6 begins. Srila Vyasadeva is asking, what did you do? What was the activities of your life? And then in this fourth verse, he expresses a curiosity that your association with the great sages, with the pure devotees, it happened in a previous day of Lord Brahma. And this is a new day of Brahma. Millions and millions and millions of years have gone by. Because after each day of Lord Brahma, there is a partial annihilation. And then everything is manifested again. It's as if we are all in suspended animation and then or asleep. And then we wake up. So Srila Vyasadeva is asking that, how do you remember all? So Srila Prabhupada explains, and of course, Lord Krishna himself explained to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita that me and you and all of us, we never sleep. That's an interesting thing to say. What do you mean we never sleep? No. We, as the spirit soul, as the Jivatma, we never sleep. We are always awake. We are always in consciousness. So we may ask, well, then what's going on? Well, it's this vehicle. It is just as if we're driving in our car and the car shuts off. So we are still awake inside the car. We're still alive, but the car battery may be dead. The engine may be dead. The car may be asleep, but we are awake. Therefore, it is very common when we wake up in the morning, someone will say, I slept very good. Well, how do you know that? Who is talking? Who is saying that that I slept very good. Someone had to be there in the beginning, and someone had to be there after the sleep. And so that is us, the eternal soul. So we never sleep. And death is actually like going to sleep and then waking up again. We wake up in another body. That is what death is. It's not that we actually lose our existence. We go to sleep and we wake up in a different situation. So there are different kinds of dreams. When this mind and body goes to sleep at night, there is often dreaming, which can seem very real. And from another point of view, our whole material existence is a kind of dream for non-devotees, because they think they are the dream. They think they are the dream. They are the woman, they are the man, they are the father, they are the worker, or I am a dog, I am a cat. They fully identify with the dream. So that's another kind of dream. They're both dreams, they're both illusions. Not totally illusion, but illusion in the sense that it's a false identity. It's real. It's certainly, the dream exists. It's not that the dream is entirely nothing, but it is very short, and it comes and it goes. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna explains to Arjuna, Nasato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sata, that which is eternal is real, and that which is temporary is not real, ultimately. So we, as spirit soul, we are, as Lord Krishna explains to Arjuna, Aja, Nitya, Shashwata, Ayam, Purano. We are without birth, we are without death, we are eternal, we are everlasting. This is in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, describing us, who we are. And it's very important to have at least a theoretical grasp of who we are and what are our qualities, because that will help us to understand what is not us. If there is a headache, that's not us. The pain, it comes and it goes, but we're still here. We eat some food and it's very tasty, but it comes and it goes, and we're still here and we can talk about it. At breakfast, I had this. It was very good. Last month, I went to this place. I enjoyed it very much, but it came and it went, and we, the soul, with the memory, are still here. So Lord Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita, this is basic Bhagavad Gita. In the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, there is description, nature, enjoyer, and the consciousness. How there is Kshetra and Kshetragya. Kshetra means this body, and Kshetragya, like Jnana, Kshetragya means the knower of the body. And not only this body, but even our the psychic functioning. It is not us. We can remember a time of depression. Now the depression is gone. We can remember having emotions of anger or sadness, but they're not there now. They come and they go. They're not us. There's something that we're conscious of. So this is basic Bhagavad Gita. And of course, it's the first thing we try to grasp. And it's always good to remind ourselves so that we don't slip too far back into material consciousness. Srila Prabhupada instructed us that, or instructs, that it's one thing to be in Maya or illusion. It's another thing if you don't know it. So it's a higher level to know that I am really looking at things too much in a bodily way. But at least we're conscious of it. At least we know that's what's going on. Then there is an opportunity to fix that. So by hearing the basic teachings of Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, we can at least have some awareness of when we are in illusion. Our thinking patterns, our actions are going in the wrong direction. Otherwise, we won't know. That's one reason it's so very important, and that's what is being described in the beginning of this Srimad Bhagavatam. Practically the whole first canto, part 1, is so much focused upon glorifying the importance and value of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. This process is described as the boat for crossing over the ocean of the age of Kali. And it really is. As time goes on in our devotional life, as each year goes by, if we hold on to these teachings and we stay within the boat and we actually keep confidence and do, and we actually go on hearing about Krishna as the means of our salvation, and chanting Hare Krishna and singing the divine names of Krishna. And then we will realize how true it is. And it is not just beneficial for the future, that by this process I will become free from the cycle of birth and death. It will also help our regular life. We will have more peace of mind. And because of our worship of Krishna, because of our devotion to Krishna, he will help us to do what we need to do in our life. It doesn't mean that everything will be successful or that we will be fabulously wealthy, but Krishna will help us to do our work and take care of our family and to live our life in this material world. And he will send good opportunities. To hear about Krishna is to perform sacrifice. We say Sankirtan Jagya. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says that in the beginning of creation, I sent forth the demigods and human beings equipped with sacrifice so that the human beings can have everything they need. That is in the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, that Lord Krishna has given the process of Jagya, of rituals, religious rituals, which if we do them, it will help us to receive what we need. So much is dependent upon who we relate to and the quality of our relationships. You can think about that. The type of relationships we have, who we have a relationship with, the quality of that relationship has so very much to do with the quality of our life. And as we improve, therefore, the quality of our relationship with Krishna, then automatically that will enable us to have a better quality of existence. How is it possible to be against the government, assuming the government is good? Sometimes, of course, there are governments that are not good, so good. But there are many governments, and generally speaking, governments are good. But if we are rebellious and we don't want to have a relationship, then we will be denied so many benefits because of that rebellious attitude. It is the same with a daughter or a son. If they're too rebellious and they don't want to have a relationship with their parents, and they don't want to participate in an affectionate, caring, respectful relationship, then it's very likely they will be denied. They will not have the same kind of benefits from their parents as if they had a good relationship. This is common sense. And so as we improve, as we increase our love of Krishna, automatically the quality of our life will improve. Therefore, in the Nectar of Devotion, Srila Prabhupada instructs us or advises us that just try to love Krishna. It is the one switch. If you turn this switch, it will brighten up your whole life. Loving Krishna. Because Krishna is our Supreme Father. Aham bija, pradapita, param brahma, param dhamma, pavitram, paramam uttama. How can we, tiny little parts of God, expect anything very good if we don't have a good relationship with our father and mother? And how can we revive that? By associating with people who are in love of Krishna. And that is what we're hearing here. Srila Vyasadeva is asking, how is it that you develop such love of Krishna? How is it that you're such a pure devotee? And that's what we're going to hear. And that's what we have heard. So we are doing the same process. This is parampara. This should give us confidence that our ISKCON founder, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, what did he spend practically his whole life doing? Was hearing Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, translating Srimad Bhagavatam, teaching Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada's whole existence was exactly what's being described here. That's amazing. Srila Prabhupada wasn't just saying something, he was living it. And so we can understand that His Divine Grace is such a very pure, powerful devotee of Lord Krishna, like Narada Muni. And he is instructing us, right, to do the same thing in these purports. So we should feel very confident and faithful that we are doing something which is very real, that goes back eternally. It is coming in a disciplic succession. And if we actually practice it, then we will experience the benefits. We will become more peaceful, more level-headed. We will become free of lust and greed and anger and envy. We will feel more attraction to Krishna. We will feel that we understand Krishna more. Our love of Krishna will increase. So this is something that we are meant to experience. It is not just that the spiritual master or the advanced devotees, only they have these understandings. No, we are all part of Krishna. We're all part of God. And all of us, each of us, can awaken fully and completely, just like Narada Muni. It is a matter of wanting it. So Srila Prabhupada ends this purport of text 4 saying, consciousness of the material body means spiritual consciousness expressed through the medium of a material body. This consciousness is inferior, destructible, and perverted. But super consciousness of the supermind in the spiritual plane is as good as the spirit soul and is never annihilated. So we will experience this more and more as we rise up above the modes of material nature. This material body means the three modes of nature, and especially our consciousness, our thinking, being very busy with the material modes of nature. So as we think of Krishna more and see things connected to Krishna more and follow the basic regulative principles more, then we will experience more of our spiritual power and our spiritual qualities. Just like Narada Muni. So I'll stop here and we can discuss and have questions.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Are there any questions or comments? Prabhuji, till people are thinking, maybe I can ask this question so that I understand this better. Prabhuji, over here in the purport of text 4, it says consciousness of the material body is perverted. And is that because it is in association with the material body? The perverted consciousness, the inferior and destructible consciousness, is because it is in association with the material body.
Yes. It's perverted that we are the body.
And then the super consciousness is the one of the super mind, which is that we are not this body, but we are the servant of Krishna. We are the eternal servant of Krishna.
Yes.
Okay. And Prabhuji, can you again, I know we have done this in the Bhagavad Gita, but can you again explain us the three, the nature, the enjoyer, and the consciousness, so that we are all, some of us have not done the Bhagavad Gita. So just again, if you can.
It's always a good idea to never stop studying Bhagavad Gita. So in that 13th chapter, Lord Krishna begins by explaining, and the whole chapter is dedicated to explaining the difference between spirit and matter. What is spirit? What is matter? What is soul? What is matter? And what is the supreme spirit? There's a lot of hardcore God consciousness, spiritual consciousness in that chapter, where Lord Krishna separates the mind and the intelligence and the senses and the body from the soul, so that we end up with just us, the tiny spirit spark of Krishna, and the supreme spirit, the Paramatma, the supreme consciousness. And there's very detailed information that describes what is matter, what is us, and what is not us. And it can be surprising to see the extent to which we misidentify. Essentially, we observe, we are conscious of, and we also have desire. But an amazing amount of our thinking has to do with this material body rather than our self as the spirit. Because if I'm spirit, or not if, but as I am spirit, then what is this thinking? I want to do this, I want to do that. Who is thinking that? What's that? See, without that higher consciousness, then we think, I want to do this. I want to go to sleep. I want to eat. I want to hurt that person. But it's not. So as we understand and practice Bhagavad Gita truly in our day-to-day life, which we must, then we develop our original Krishna consciousness, and all of the qualities will manifest that manifest because of being genuinely Krishna conscious. We read about the different qualities and it's not that I should be honest, I should be tolerant, I should be peaceful, I should be this, I should be that. We will automatically, by focusing on the basic teachings of Bhagavad Gita about who I am and who I'm not, by doing that, automatically we will become more tolerant. If I am spirit and then there is like some voice in my head saying, go do this, I don't necessarily have to do it. Because I'm the soul. I'm not this thought. I'm not this eye. I'm not these eyes that want to see this. I'm not this nose that wants to smell that. I'm not this tongue that wants to eat this food. It is just as if we were walking a dog at the end of a leash. So we know the dog wants to go to the left, the dog wants to go to the right, and we may agree, okay, we'll go to the left, but we're agreeing to it. The dog is not dragging us. So the demigods and the devotees of Krishna, as we make advancement, then we are able to live much more like that. We are not at the mercy of our mind and body. Whereas we see that people who are sinful or who are suffering from a sinful past, they don't have nearly as much of this power and often very addicted in a way that it's very hard to understand. Even they know I shouldn't be eating and eating. They're still eating and eating. I have known people, maybe some of you know people, even they have stage 4 cancer. They're still smoking. Well, I guess it's stage 4, it doesn't matter. But the point is that at any stage, they cannot stop. That's a very sad, sad thing. I think it's especially sad when someone is aware that I really wish I wasn't doing this, but they can't stop because of their past sinful life and present sinful life, maybe. They don't have the original spiritual consciousness and power to do that. So it's very, very important to help us remain. We want to stay on the path of Krishna consciousness, not just for 3 weeks or 3 months or 3 years. We want to stay on the path for the next 30 years, the next 50 years, so that we can get the final ultimate success of remembering Krishna when we leave this world. But how are we going to stay on the path? Of course, we have the instructions, but this is one of them, that we are taking shelter of Bhagavad Gita and the basic ABC instructions. So we are not bothered too much by obstacles, and we're not bothered too much by whatever we might be bothered by that would throw us away. Oh, I'm tired of this. It's too much trouble. I'm not going to be a devotee anymore. When very practically the first instruction of Bhagavad Gita, one must learn to tolerate the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress, heat and cold. It comes and it goes. So we have to practice, and not just practice, but follow. It's a whole, it's a whole package program. That we have to do all the different parts. They help. They work together to give us the ability. The 4 regular principles and the chanting of Krishna's name in a regular way, and rising early and eating pure food, they all work together to give us the maximum ability to be successful. And once we stop doing one, it's weakening. So someone may say, what does it matter? I just, I won't follow so strictly this one. And you may carry on, but it's weakening. That's for sure. It's weakening. It's risky. It's just like when the tires on your car, it may be that one tire has a hole and it has low on air. So you can keep going, but it's risky. The tire could blow apart. So why take the risk? So that's what it means. So someone may say, you're so strict. Well, I don't want to. I don't want to take the risk. Maybe I could smoke a little ganja and go on chanting Hare Krishna. Maybe so. But it's risky. And I don't want to risk another birth in this world. Sorry. See. Is that helpful?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you very much. It was very helpful. Any other questions or comments? There are no more questions or comments, but I'd like to acknowledge the presence of Samuel Arodi. Samuel, Prabhuji, thank you for joining in. Can you put your video on? We haven't had you before in the group. I've been seeing you since the last 3 days, but I haven't had the time to acknowledge your presence. So thank you for joining in, Prabhuji.
Okay, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I am Bhakta Samuel. I am Bhakta Samuel Arodi.
Okay. Okay.
I've been here since last year until this year. So it's only that I did some changes on my Zoom because I was having a Zoom meeting with some of the officials that I'm working with. So I must use the official name. I don't have to place Bhakta because Bhakta is not in the ID. So that is why you see changes in the Zoom meeting. So I apologize for that. And I'm very glad about the teachings of today. And I want to thank Prabhu Das Dina for the class. This is the third or the fourth time I'm attending his class. He really teaches, and most of the time that he teaches, I always take notes. And until today, I've taken like 4 or 5 pages full. So I'm still digesting. I could have asked so many questions, but now I'm still digesting. And I know in the next class, or maybe I'll send my questions on the WhatsApp, because I really believe that if we chant daily, and also if we acknowledge others, that is a very great thing, because we can be in a society where you are trying to reach the other person, but it's not possible. And again, having been in this program, you see, I started joining the ISKCON fraternity, ISKCON movement. When I was still a young boy, I was brought in ISKCON in the year 2006. That is with Krishna Mai. So I've worked with Partha Prabhu in Kisumu. I've also worked in Nairobi with Govinda Prabhu Umapati. I've also gone to Uganda to work with, to also do service with when Gopinath Das Prabhu was also the temple president there. I've gone to Mombasa, and now I'm planning on coming to Eldoret also. But now, one of the things that I am asking is, how is it possible for one? Because you see, I am that individual that have been working with so many people. If Partha Prabhu can share you this, I've been teaching. I have been giving classes to local devotees. That was when I was in Kisumu. And some of the questions that I really get is, why is it that you are in ISKCON and your life is not changing? Okay. And the other thing is that people will ask you, why must you walk with chanting bag every day? Why must you have kantimala on your neck every day? And because I was living in Kisumu, I used to put tilak every part. I used to put tilak on my hand, in my stomach, in my head, in my head, and everywhere. So people will ask me this: why are you using tilak? Why are you using these symbols? Okay. So the lastly is that I've not been able to wear dhoti because of the nature of the work that I'm doing, and also with the situation in the places that I am. So I thank you, Prabhu Dina Das, for the class, and I also thank the Eldoret fraternity for allowing this program to happen. And also I want to thank each and everyone for attending the class. And Haribol, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji, for thanking Prabhuji. We can end our session now. If there are no more questions or comments, let us chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to glorify Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare Hare, Ram Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Mancha
Kalpataruvyascha Kripasindhubhyo Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
jai. His Grace Dina Sharan Prabhuji ki
Jai.
jai. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us and taking your time. Hare Krishna.
Everyone be well.
Thank you, Maharaj-ji. Thank you.
You too, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Glory to Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Prabhupada ki jai.